this time.
Call the meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome you to this meeting of the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners. We are keeping a written record and a visual record. A representative from IT just came up a few minutes ago to remind us or ask that anyone speaking during the meeting please come to the microphone. They've been having difficulty lately picking up comments from the audience. So if anybody wants to say anything or address us, please come to the microphone. Awards, recognition, and correspondence. Commissioners Givens or Elfring, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, I have something. As some of you are aware from previous meetings, there is a group of people in Pendleton who, during the 12 months of this year, are recognizing individuals in the community who have made extraordinary contributions to Pendleton for one reason or another. Today, someone was brought here under very false pretenses. Susan Bauer. I can't remember why I told her she needed to be at this meeting, but had absolutely nothing to do with.
Item 1 on the agenda.
Yeah, I think if item 1 on the agenda that says stiff discussion, we aren't having a stiff discussion, but we invited Susan to come.
We may have a stiff discussion.
Yeah, the Pendleton Honor Task Force honors Susan Bauer for her passion, unconditional commitment, and enduring dedicated service to the community of Pendleton, Oregon. This is for October 2018. Some additional comments I would add to this. She spent 17 years as an executive. Her last post was Senior Vice President of Bank One Corporation, responsible for 6 divisions and 100 employees. Since moving to Pendleton in 2005, she served as Chamber of Commerce President, Children's Museum President, Education Foundation President, Pendleton Urban Renewal Consultant, instructor at Blue Mountain Community College for Business Ethics and Human Resources. Susan was also chair of the Jumpstart Committee and initiated a public-private partnership which created the School to Careers program. Currently, she is the president and owner of Eastern Oregon Business Source, which is a consulting firm specializing in resource dealing with strategic planning and capacity building. Susan has 6 associates helping her share her best practices and keys to sustainable results with for-profit, nonprofits, and governments throughout Oregon. The last 2 years have been dedicated to serving organizations in Umatilla and Morrow counties. Susan's most proud projects of this decade have been organizational culture, particularly the transformation she has witnessed at Umatilla County through the professional development program, through our leadership development program, and active support of both our current department heads and our future managers. There are actually 12 ladies in this community who, kind of a secret effort, are involved with creating these honors. For some reason, I have been their designated individual to make the presentations, but at this time I am going to ask Susan to come forward and receive her plaque, and I've asked Stephanie to come down and take a picture with Susan and all 3 commissioners. So.
Very much, and I do have a stiff update.
We're not quite ready yet.
How many of those we get?
One more. Beautiful.
Did we keep breaking them?
Susan, this is a very nice box if you want that too. might work for a gift box. By way of explanation, Susan deals with quite a wide variety of county programs, and we appreciate that. And most recently, Eastern Oregon Business Source has been contracted to manage our transportation grants, which is the guise under which we brought her to this meeting. But Susan, Umatilla County, along with now the city of Pendleton, certainly appreciates your contributions to this community. As I've said several times, Pendleton is very lucky in that we have some people in this community right now who wouldn't ordinarily be a part of a community in this location and this size, but circumstances in their lives because of their husband's employment or spouse's employment in one way or another are here, and we're certainly very, very lucky to have you here. So
I can add to that we're very grateful to Susan for what she brings to the economic development team as well. So, Susan, congratulations.
say anything?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Any minutes of the March 20th, 2018 joint Morrow County meeting?
Mr. Chair, I move approval with caveat that this has been a very productive ongoing meeting with both counties. We probably have more of a common bond with Morrow County than we do with any of our other neighbors because we're so close in what we do and what we need for both counties. So both in economic development and other county services. And we share a lot of county services with Morrow County. With that, I would move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I don't know if the minutes reflected, I can't remember, but as a matter of record, I think we agreed that we're going to meet 3 times a year, that this was the fall meeting. The winter meeting will be hosted by Umatilla County, and I believe we agreed to host it at Stafford Hansel
Yes, we did.
as a matter of convenience, so make sure that gets scheduled and it's a matter of record. Are there any additions to the agenda? No. Okay, is there any comments from the public? Anyone who wishes to speak on some issue other than that which we're talking about? That doesn't include a stiff update, Susan. So we're not doing that. All right. We will go into our business items. As I indicated, item 1 really isn't going to happen. Item 2 is a hospital bond reissuance. We're going to step out of regular meeting format and go into hearing format. Counsel?
Okay, Mr. Go is here. I think he might be able to provide a background and action for the board.
Okay, I don't know if you've been to a meeting, but if you'd kindly step to the microphone and identify who you are and where you're from.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Doug Go, partner with Warwick Harrington Sutcliffe. We are bond counsel for the Hospital Facility Authority of Umatilla County and have had the pleasure of being here before. It's always a pleasure to be in Pendleton. What you have in front of you today is a public hearing. This is a continuation of the bond issue that was done for the benefit of the Yakima Valley Farm Workers Health Clinic in Hermiston. 10 years ago, it was a bond that was basically done in the form of a loan with Bank of America, and that loan is now coming to an end. Of course, the clinic itself has a useful life of probably well in more than 25 years. It was done being a bank loan just for 10 years. The bank and the clinic have now agreed to extend that for another 7 years. Because of the requirements of the federal tax law, in order for this bond to remain tax exempt, there needs to be, just as there was with respect to the original bond issue, a public hearing. This public hearing has been noticed. We've worked with Mr. Olson and noticed this public hearing at which any members of the public are invited to provide written or oral testimony. Then after the public hearing, you will consider an order approving basically the refinancing of this loan, which is slated to close on November 1st. Would also note that the Hospital Facility Authority of Umatilla County, which of course the county established, will meet today at noon at St. Anthony's Hospital to also take action and approve the financing. Be happy to address any questions commissioners may have.
Mr. Chair, Doug, would you, very few people understand why we're doing the public hearing and why it's going through the board, even though that's been standard for years. I served on the Hospital Authority Board for a number of years. But would you explain so folks know what's happening and there's no obligation?
Well, yeah, first off, yes, there's absolutely no obligation to Umatilla County or even, I think, the Hospital Facility Board. This is under the IRS regulations, requires a public hearing conducted by the public body of Umatilla County, where the facility and the hospital board and the authority board are located, and as a result, that is the reason it's before you. But there is no real
So the
connection
primary reason for having this is for any member of the public to bring forth any questions or any discussion that they wish to proceed with.
Yes.
And again, so public knows there's no financial obligation whatsoever to Umatilla County.
Well, I'm kind of glad we have something on the agenda for the Hospital Authority Board today, because normally we just have lunch, but we are required to meet annually, and so this will be exciting. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? All right, we'll go back out of hearing mode and proceed.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
I'll see you at lunch.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Mr. Chair, I move adoption of Order BCC 2018-071.
I would second that motion.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item 3, juvenile detention facility remodel.
Good morning. Tim Wagner-Blue, Umatilla County CSDP, Program Manager. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Discharge.
I'm here before you to request that we be allowed to spend up to $171,059 on the juvenile detention remodel. We're calling it Remodel 2.0 because this will be the second round of remodel to repurpose this old juvenile detention facility into functional office space for the Community Developmental Disabilities Program. And as you should see with the information provided, maintenance, Umatilla County Maintenance is actually in charge of this project, and they've provided a breakdown of the project. There's several different remodel projects within this one overall remodel.
So basically, this is taking what used to be cell space for juvenile detainees and converting it into usable space for your department. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
We are wanting to take the 10 upstairs cells and make them into offices as we did the 10 cells down below, as well as taking the 2 in-shower rooms and making them storage spaces. Some of the other projects are we've taken what used to be the classroom and made it into a large office space with the retractable wall turning into a solid wall. We'll also be making the floor space into basically a conference room that will have mobile walls, so we can do a lot of the trainings that we're spending thousands of dollars sending our staff to in Salem, here actually in Pendleton, in Umatilla County, so we can be a regional training center for the Office of Developmental Disabilities Services.
There's a big open area in front of the cells that they're renovating as part of all this. It's kind of exciting to repurpose this facility, which otherwise would have just been there.
And from the standpoint of the juvenile, I can assure you that they have absolutely no intention of ever reinstating cells to detain juveniles. That's not on their agenda. It works far better to do what they're doing now and putting them in other facilities.
The one thing I would add is none of this money is general fund money. It's all carryover money from our contracts with the state.
With that, Robert, clear back when we have first started making improvements, we had a facility that was absolutely inefficient. We had to do a bunch of building work to save some costs on energy. That was done a number of years ago. When we no longer house juveniles there, we saved that first year approximately, Bob was here then, and I think you were helping.
My recollection's not real clear, but it was somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000 that we saved when we closed the detention center annually.
Okay. And so ongoing from that time on, we have continued to save and be more and more efficient. So, and provide much better services. So that needs to be noted. Kim, thank you. Robert, thank you.
I think the side benefit is because of the way we're doing this, we have a really, really outstanding maintenance individual who was working here part-time, and as part of wrapping it into this equation, we've been able to have that maintenance person on a full-time basis now, and it's a win-win for Kim's department. It's a win-win for the county, too, to have this individual involved. So, do I have a motion from someone?
Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Lifting of the temporary burn ban.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Gina.
Morning.
I'm Gina Miller, Staff Liaison to the Smoke Management Program, and I'm here today to discuss the lifting of the temporary non-agricultural burn ban. Recently, the county has experienced significant change in weather, cooler temperatures, and measurable rainfall. In addition to that, other adjacent jurisdictions, such as the city of Pendleton, the tribe, and ODF, have also lifted their bans for burning. In consideration of all these things, staff recommends that you vote in favor of lifting the non-agricultural burn ban for Umatilla County effective noon today.
With that, Mr. Chair, I would move approval with this note. I read yesterday where, and I can't remember which fire it was, one of the Southern Oregon fires started up. It creeped under the containment lines and had started up again, and they were concerned about some evacuations. I can't remember which fire that was, but
Wasn't it in Jackson County?
it may have been in Jackson County.
Or Douglas.
So one of the two down there, but but I know the Forest Service is doing some controlled burns now too because of the so.
That Saturday.
Gina's been highly visible lately. She's here fresh from the front page of the Union Bulletin. I don't know if you noticed that.
I couldn't find.
Autographs later.
I was looking too quickly and didn't get a chance to look. So anyway, with that,
Hard to miss.
with that, Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I can torch my waste pile.
Yeah. All right. Compact excavator purchase. Mr. Fellows, you seem to be heading this direction.
Good morning. Tom Fellows, Public Works Director. So up at Harris Park, we've been expanding operations. We haven't expanded any campsites at this point, but one of the things that we've been doing quite diligently is brush removal, fire prevention. We've, in the past, rented the road department's big excavator for some of these operations and some of this piling and whatnot. The mini excavator will fill a number of roles for us. We're constantly upgrading and improving our irrigation system. It'll do that digging for us. We are hoping to get a grant for another vault toilet. We'll use it for digging, all that excavation and whatnot. So I came across, I had an opportunity to speak to some people who had a 2,000-hour machine, used machine, that they were asking $35,000 for. Had a conversation with our John Deere salesman, and actually they had a machine that had not been out for purchase. It had been rented, had some rent time against it, and could be purchased, still utilizing the government contract purchasing system. And so primarily what we had the opportunity to do here is purchase a machine with still has a 1-year warranty on a contract price at $34,800. So it seemed to me to be a pretty good deal, since everything else out there for that same cost is about a 2,000-hour machine. And the park does have the funding to do it. We did budget for this year. We didn't quite budget the $35,000, but have had conversations with our finance department, and we feel that we can handle it quite easily. So,
Tom, what's the comparative cost to a new machine?
you know, I will be honest with you. I did not look at a brand new one because I didn't really feel that it was in our wheelhouse.
Within range?
Yeah.
Just guessing because we looked at some. They're right around 60,000.
60.
So
I'm pretty comfortable that we're getting a really good deal on this one.
How many hours do you say it has?
Right at 400. 2 oil changes.
just broke in.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the purchase of an excavator from Pappy Machinery in the amount of $34,800 for the Harris Park.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think we ought to publicly thank Tom for the fact that he took over the park and has taken it to a new level.
Absolutely.
I have gotten some personal reports on the condition of the park. They had a wedding there this weekend, a pretty good-sized outdoor wedding, and I think it's just an amazing place now. I think it's full, probably not going to be full all winter, but that crew is getting rave. I remember we used to not get very good comments from people who were using the park, and now we just get rave reviews from both its condition, but your staff there. And I think you should maybe pass along to them that people really, really like and appreciate them.
I've been extremely pleased with the staff up there. It isn't anything that I've done. It's everything that they've done. They do a very good job, and I will pass that along to them. I really appreciate what they do up there.
Well, I remember watching that movie about the wedding planner or something, and I think your park manager was ever so helpful in helping decorate for the wedding and whatever else they were doing. So.
We've either had 4 or 5 weddings up there this year, and all of them were, I think, big hits. We've had nothing but good reviews on it. So.
Yeah, I think he kind of likes it.
Mr. Chair, I would note, too, that Tom didn't complain, didn't bat an eye when we said we want you to take the park over, and with not an
Say what? Say what?
not an extra dime out of it. So
I'm sure that you remember that, correctly.
I have a different impression of that conversation.
what I do remember is Tom saying, "If you tell me I have to do it, I will do it."
Well, but it's.
And I feel that I took it on and did it okay.
And you have.
Absolutely.
I got
Thank
it.
you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
I know you like this kind of thing really well. All right, item 6, appointment to the West Umatilla County Mosquito Control District Board.
Okay, due to a resignation on the West Umatilla Mosquito Control District Board, there is a vacancy, and it is recommended that David Trott fill the vacancy.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Item number 7, NAFA donation. Can we read the?
Can I read that into it?
Yeah, I'd like to have us do that.
It's a resolution in the matter of acknowledging the generous contributions of the NAFA, National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, Blue Mountain Chapter to Umatilla County. Whereas Umatilla County and the Blue Mountain Chapter of the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, NAFA, have had a long-standing partnership in providing insurance to county employees, and whereas the chapter has made a number of sizable donations to Umatilla County, and whereas the use of the donation is for special projects of Umatilla County as selected by the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners within its discretion, and whereas because of the donations from the chapter, the county has been able to provide support for youth programs, recreational opportunities for those with disabilities, grief support, employee recognition, courthouse beautification, as well as other projects to better the county and its citizens. Therefore, the Board of Commissioners recognizes the donations of NAFA and its support for the county, its employees and citizens, and add its appreciation to the members of this chapter for the generous contributions they have made to Umatilla County. Mr. Chair, I move approval of Order BCC 2018-070, conveying that appreciation.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are you an old NAFA member?
I am.
And they just did,
Former NAFA member.
Former.
we didn't
Thank you.
talk about the amount. They just did deliver a check for, was it 5,000?
Since 2015, they've contributed $26,000.
So, and Melinda administers that.
And the intention of it's purely for special projects. So it
Yes.
really comes in handy to be able to do that.
Pretty neat. Okay, item 8, Fair Board appointment.
Doug?
Okay. This is coming before the board for approval to extend a term on the Fair Board for Mel Keeley. Originally, he was scheduled to end his term on December 31st, 2018. He has served more than 2 years on the Fair Board and so is not really eligible for reappointment.
2 terms.
Yeah, he's served more than 2 terms. And so at this point, the proposal is just to extend his term 1 more year to allow the county to appoint a board-elect to basically train with Mr. Keeley and help with the transition to new Fair Board member. This was done last year when there were 3 vacancies, and we filled 2 of them with board-elect, and they spent the last year with Gay Newman and Don Miller learning what they've been doing for many, many years on the Fair Board. And so this will just allow first to extend the term for Mr. Keeley, and then also we have due applications for the vacancy, and once we're at have the opportunity to review those, interview them, they'll come back possibly for your approval for appointment for board-elect. Also noting that there will be another term ending, another long-term person's term ending next year, and the hope is to actually have a board-elect appointed now to help with Lucas Wagner in his last year on the board.
So we will have 2 appointees to potentially take their place by December of next year.
I would think the intent of this, too, would be that as we know these terms are coming to an end, that we find a replacement member to serve as an elect for the last year of a Fair Board's term. There's a learning curve, that rather severe learning curve that Fair Board members have to complete, and it's not just an easy job where you can just hang around and do most anything you want on the committee. There are definite functions that they need to fulfill, and so I would expect this would be the pattern that we would follow for the future appointees as well.
And I would note also, those Fair Board members, if they're becoming or going to become a Fair Board member, the amount of time that's required, and a lot of them give of their own money to purchase things. It's not as bad as it used to be because we have a different facility. But in the past, I can remember Fair Board members spending a lot of money, some of them up to $1,000, to get things purchased so the fair could go on. This was their own money. And of course, this was when we had the old fairgrounds with dilapidated buildings and infrastructure that was not in shape to carry on what we needed to carry on. So with that,
I guess the downside of this potentially is that the person who's selected to shadow, might at the end of the year say, I don't want to do this, it's too much work.
yeah.
Well, that's not always bad, but I think since we know when these terms are coming to an end, I'd rather we make it a practice of choosing potential board members in advance
Agreed.
to do the shadowing, rather than we've made it a continuing practice now to extend terms of people.
And that's
that are on
what
the
we're
fair
trying to
board, and I
do
don't
with
think that
this
was the
policy.
intent.
This would follow that intent.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So
think-
we're planning a year ahead.
Well, we're extending another person this time, but I
Yeah.
think we're trying to get out of the
Yes,
practice of
That's the
of
purpose.
extending them. So,
Okay, with that, Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that brings us to the bottom of our agenda. We have no executive session. Anything from commissioners?
Nothing from me.
I would note that at AOC, this last week before last, we had quite a discussion on the finances. They're still working on the company, I can't remember the name of the audit company, but they're coming up with some suggestions on different accounting practices to be sure. They're separating some road fund accounting from the general fund accounting, and so they don't get into that issue again. And they're determining what the amount will be that counties have to have an invoice from AOC to make up that repayment back to the AOC road fund. So that was not a heated discussion, but there were some contentious feelings about it.
Has there been any further discussion of holding the prior auditing company somewhat liable for some of this?
You know, they did discuss that. They also discussed the liability, and I don't know if they'll pursue it, of the previous financial accountant with AOC and the past director. I don't know where that will go. That still remains to be seen. So that's an ongoing discussion. The other issue is some of the legislation that's happening and pushing for cap and trade, and the extension of the clean fuels, also the RSP for the renewable resource, making sure that gets up to 50% renewables by 2040. And as you well know, not all counties agree to that. There are some that do, but not all of them do.
I don't understand all the financial piece, but aren't those people bonded, Doug?
Yes, they are.
I mean, isn't like Robert bonded?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the purpose of the bond?
That's more for dishonesty rather than misappropriation.
they have determined at this point that they can't say it was fraudulent practice or there was any I can't think of the word where somebody takes the money and absconds with it.
Embezzlement.
So
Embezzlement,
I think
thank you.
Primarily, the bond covering, the fiduciary bond primarily covers dishonesty or malintent. I don't believe it covers poor decisions
Yeah.
or stupidity.
Those are the very words I was thinking of.
What they have determined was that there
Thank you.
was not embezzlement. It was just poor management.
No, I don't think there was personal gain, but,
Yeah,
okay. All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
that's all I had.
We're adjourned.
We're done.